You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Supernova, Nessus's Path. So, last place we left off, we were actually at the funeral and we're getting to meet the family, so let's pick up where we left off, shall we? Anyway, guys, please sit back and let me entertain you for the next 20 minutes and let's jump right in. Alarm chain, you're up. Okay. Sarah and her son regard me silently for several 10 seconds. Then, to my surprise, the former gives me a slight smile. Thank you so much for coming, Nick. That was very nice of you. Michael would have appreciated it. Yes, of course, ma'am. I must be looking very dim right now, being so tongue-tied. The Baron opens his muzzle as if he intends to speak, but seems to reconsider. His expression is neutral, but I can still feel the weight of his gaze on me. It's as if he's telling me not to fuck it up. Uh-oh. Yeah, I had a feeling that one was coming. Danny suddenly speaks up, his voice low, almost a growl. Show it to me. Daniel. The bracelet. I grit my teeth. I can tell Sarah's about to say something again, but I decide I should do this. Fumbling to roll up my sleeve, I reveal the reddish band on my wrist. Huh. This is the first time I've seen it out in the sun, and it looks much more vibrant in this light. It had this dull color while I was indoors. Now, not so much. There's a brief moment of silence, and Danny's muzzle contorts into an expression of rage. That's not yours. Take it off right now. He takes a step toward me, and despite myself, I cringe away. The Badger may be a couple years younger, but his height and physique are imposing. Daniel, stop right this second. The tall Badger rounds on his mother. It's mine, and he has no right to it. How can you... Tim, dear, would you please escort Daniel back to the car? I'd like a moment with Nick. The Baron nods, putting a paw on Danny's shoulder and pushing him to the path leading to the gates. Come on, kiddo. Despite his continuing protests, Daniel is led away. Frank, who stood at my side during the entire exchange, follows them, as does Unbound. I'm left alone with Templar's wife. I shuffle from one footpaw to the other. I'm very sorry, Mrs. O'Connor. Your son is right. Sarah frowns for a moment before smiling warmly at me again. You're not the one who should be apologizing, dear. I'm sure Daniel is just upset. I don't mean him, although my son owes you an apology for his behavior just now. I blink at her, not quite following what she's saying. Her smile fades and she sighs with obvious exhaustion. You should have never been put in this situation in the first place. I'm so sorry any of this is happening to you. I open my mouth, then realize I don't know what to say and close it. I didn't expect this at all. I thought she'd be angry as Danny, rightfully so. Would you mind walking with me a little? Yes, ma'am, of course. We wander down the paved path between the rows of graves scattered in the grass. Sarah goes in the opposite direction from the gate. I'm reluctant to follow. Even with the chill, I feel stuffy and suffocated in my suit. A bird, maybe a crow, makes a noise somewhere nearby, hiding between the gravestones, perhaps. Can you tell me what you saw that day? I skid to a stop. For a moment, I consider telling her that I'd much rather not. But I see a plea in her eyes that I can't just refuse. So I do as she asks. I tell her what happened, never going into the details of the fight. How brutal it was, how viciously that wolf attacked her husband, the blows that shattered his armor and rained down on his exposed flesh. She doesn't need to hear any of that. I'll just let it flash in front of my eyes before I stare at my feet the whole time I'm talking. When I look up, her eyes are full of tears. I'm sorry, Mrs. O'Connor. I didn't mean to upset you. She shakes her head. No, everything is all right. Thank you, Nick. I'm sorry. She wipes her eyes with a handkerchief I offered, letting out another sigh. It's so strange to see that bracelet on someone else. She stares off into the distance somewhere, but not for long, as her gaze snaps back to me. This is all incredibly unfair on you. I can't help but feel angry at myself and Michael. How do you mean? Why would you be angry? This is good music in it. Because he did this to you. You shouldn't, Mrs. O'Connor. He was a hero. I know, and I'll always be proud of who he was. Which doesn't change the fact that he had no right to inflict this burden on you. It was my decision to keep the bracelet. She nods. You are very brave. Not really. No, Nick, I mean it. After what you saw. Oh, Michael, I'd smack if you were standing here right now. Please don't say that, Mrs. O'Connor. I'm sure he did what he did for a reason. Yes, I think so too, and I suspect I know why. We've been talking lately. I was so anxious about Danny having Danny inherit his power. He disagreed, of course, but maybe not as much as I thought. It's such a dangerous thing, and when he met you, someone with the bracelet would accept. My heart sinks. What is she saying? That Templar gave me the bracelet so his son wouldn't have to put himself into danger? Because Mrs. O'Connor was worried about what it would mean for their son? No, that's... Sarah must have noticed how much her words have unsettled me, because she puts a paw on my elbow. I flinch. I'm sorry, Nick. If it's because of what I said to Michael, you shouldn't have done this, even if part of me is relieved. Because Daniel won't have to put himself in danger? She nods, her eyes brimming with tears again. I feel a little numb. I understand. Even so, I won't blame you if you... No, Mrs. O'Connor, I already decided. Even if what you said is true, I'm not going to change my mind now. I can't ask you to do that. It's so selfish and unfair. Danny's been training for this. My husband did a lot to prepare him. To then turn around and foist it upon an innocent bystander... It's all right. I understand. Really, don't worry about it. She sniffles into the handkerchief, giving me a long, searching look. I meet her eyes this time. Thank you. Don't mention it. We turn around and head back, silent for the moment. As we approach the gate, I spot the Baron's white fur peeking over the stone wall surrounding the cemetery. Damn, he's tall. Sarah taps me on the shoulder. Listen, Nick, if there's anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out, you hear me? Michael asked a great deal, and it's only right for me to be there for you. If you need to talk, or if you are in trouble and need a safe place, whatever it is, call me or pay me a visit. Thank you, Mrs. O'Connor. I'm grateful for that, and I'll keep it in mind. She takes my phone to type in her number and address before we part ways. Over by his car, Vince is chatting with a female calico cat. Frank is standing near them, not participating in the conversation himself. I signal to him and instead head towards the rat. He acknowledges my approach with a nod. You have my number, right? You could have warned me that you were going to tell Mrs. O'Connor about me. I wasn't about to hide what happened from them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I shouldn't have been blindsided by this. I assumed Champer the Fox would warn you. Hell, he mentioned it because I asked first. The rat works his jaw, no doubt coming up with some caustic response. I stare him down. Alright, you have a point there. Now can we move on to more important matters? Grinding my teeth, I begrudgingly nodded his question. How did it go with Sarah? Fine. I can tell he's waiting for me to elaborate, but when I don't, he just rolls his eyes. He then looks around as if to confirm nobody's close enough to overhear us. None of this is fine, but alright. There's something else that we will need to deal with sooner or later. The director of Spec is here. You don't have to talk with him, but you might as well now. Director of what? Superpowered Persons Engagement Commission. He's our liaison with the federal government. Okay, cool, but why would I want to talk with him? The Baron narrows his eyes. Haven't bothered to read the Cape Act. It hadn't occurred to me, no. Was I supposed to? Yes. Memorize it. Anyway, if you intend to be a superhero, the head of the commission will need to learn your identity. Yeah, right. This isn't negotiable, Raccoon. You're either registered with Spec or you're a vigilante, and Templar is not a goddamn outlaw. I run my fingers through my fur on my forehead. This is certainly a change of pace from the funeral. I'd be more annoyed with the rat right now for not telling me much sooner if I didn't know that the team had been too preoccupied with Templar's death to think of all this. It's a hell of a shitty thing to have sprung on you like this, though. Fine. The Baron points out a tall husky, who I now notice had been speaking with Mrs. O'Connor just moments ago. As the Badgers drive off, the dog turns to see us approaching. Ah, okay. Hello, Director Fury. Oh, I'm sorry, Director Furioso. He looks older than the Baron, maybe around the same age as Templar had been. The American flag pin on his lapel catches the sun, blinding me for a brief moment. This is Gregory Johnston, Director of the Superpowered Persons Engagement Commission. Greg, this is Nick Saunders. He's the new Templar. Hi. Oh. The husky beams at me in that open and friendly manner dogs often do. He offers me a paw to shake. I hesitate only a second before taking it. Good to see you, Nick. Surprised Tim let it happen. Been bugging him for days now. I give the Baron a puzzled look. Guess even he respects my privacy enough not to out me to the freaking government willy-nilly. Didn't extend the same courtesy regarding the O'Connors, but at least they had a right to know. What are you doing, cat? What are you doing? Silly kitty. Yeah, well, he hadn't decided until recently. Right. Anyway, is there more to whatever this is? Some bureaucracy, but you don't need to worry about that stuff right now. Your identity will be secure, of course. Only select few have access to such information. We take our hero's safety very seriously. Great! I'll handle all that on Nick's behalf, Greg. Just figured a quick introduction was in order. Of course. Of course. Then I'll be in touch soon. On this and other matters. If you don't mind, can Nick and I have a moment? Uh-oh. Again. I can't tell if the Baron is surprised by the request. What's surprising, however, is that he looks to me for a reply. Sure. The rat nods and walks off. First of all, Nick, I must commend you on behalf of the federal government for deciding to take up this mantle. Cat, stop pawing at the window. You are stupid. Knock it off. My kitty is dumb. He's a dumb... One of my cats... Well, actually, a lot of my cats are dumb, but they're dumb sillies, and I love them. Should I politely indicate that I couldn't care less what the federal government thinks? This Gregory is starting to remind me of the military recruiter that came around to our high school. My dad, being a vet himself, was keen on me hearing the man out. Of course, that wasn't going to happen. Not then, not now. Thanks. Gregory must be catching on that I'm very much lacking in enthusiasm at the moment. He gives me a long look, his expression turning somber. It's a tragedy, what happened with Michael. Still, we have to keep moving forward. We're all counting on you. I intend to do my best. I'm certain you do, and we at Spec are committed to ensuring our great heroes can get the job done. The Sentinels are an independent group, but I think you should consider a formal contract with us, Nick. Our support can be invaluable. There it is. I think I'll stick with the team, but thanks. A partnership with us won't preclude you from that. Still, I'll pass. To my great surprise, the Husky shows no signs of frustration with me, instead smiling again. This is obviously not the best time for this talk. We should meet again so you can learn more. He hands me a business card. As tempted as I am to toss it, I pocket it before nodding at him. Is that all, then? For now, I hope to see you soon, Nick. Just don't go mentioning my name to anyone, alright? And good luck. Sure, thanks. Most everyone is gone by now, with just Vince and Frank in the car and the Baron watching me from the sidewalk. He beckons me with a gesture. There. Done. What did he say? He wants to get us in some bullshit contract. I take it you refused. I snort in response. Not a flag licker, then. Good, although you better have stayed respectful. Gregory's not someone we can afford to antagonize. Oof. Must be hard for you with your shining personality. My comment is met with a slight narrowing of the rat's eyes. What's a flag licker, anyway? Superheroes in government employ. Ugh! Yeah. Didn't know that was a thing. Read the news, then. Okay, whatever. He said he wanted to meet up again. You'll have to, sooner or later. Like it or not, dealing with the government is going to become part of your life. I'd rather it be later, then. The rat nods. Would help if you're not as clueless as when it happens. Either way, we've kept the champ waiting long enough. He reached into an inner pocket of his jacket and retrieves a simple USB stick. Some information that would be useful for you. Nothing incriminating, but still, keep it to yourself and don't lose it. The password to the folder is Coonjob. Seriously? Yes, and read the damn Cape Act. You'll be in for it if I have to clean up my messes because you don't know the law. I just wave him off, not bothering to say goodbye as I hurry to Vince's car. The Tiger doesn't immediately drive off as I get in. Instead, both he and Frank give me concerned looks. Yeah, everything all right, buddy? Yeah, all good. Saw you talking with Gregory. Did he make the pitch? Didn't give him much of an opportunity. Heh. What did Sarah say? I think about what I should tell them. Mrs. O'Connor wanted to speak with me alone. Then again, nothing we discussed was all that private. Maybe there would be no harm telling these two. Should I? Fuck, this is gonna be... Okay, do a little branching path right here. Okay, right there. I'm gonna just tell them. She said she was sorry about everything that's been happening around me. Mrs. O'Connor was kind of angry, I guess, at herself and Templar. What? She said he might have given me the bracelet because, well, he didn't want his son to get it. To keep him safe, I guess, and apparently she had been worried about that. My words are met with a tense silence. Vince grips the steering wheel so hard I fear the seams of his suit are going to burst. Ooh. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. Michael wouldn't have done that. He gave you the bracelet because you're special, and he sensed that. I don't know. Ben shakes his head vehemently, looking angry for the first time. You know he wouldn't do it for such a selfish reason. Maybe not. I'll let this ensuing silence linger for a moment. I mean, it was Templar's wife who told me that. Who else would know him better? Maybe his teammates were unaware of how Templar really felt about being a superhero. Or, at least it must be something else to be grooming your son to follow your okay, maybe I'm gonna go back on that. Yeah. Let me keep between them and Miss O'Connor. Yeah, okay. Like, that's not something I want to, like, spring on them, like, at his funeral, so, you know. She was very nice to me. Just sort of apologized, I guess. I don't say anything else, and even though I sense that Nisus wants me to explain further, I just look away until I see him nod from the corner of my eye. Alright. Shall we head back, then? Yes, let's. From there, we drive in silence. Frank has taken out his phone and is tapping at the screen. I'm a little curious what someone like him would find interesting on the internet. Nisus doesn't seem like the social media type, unlike Superfang, who has a wildly popular Instafor account. He posts selfies all the time, whenever he's finished dealing with a crime or from the tops of skyscrapers. I spent some time yesterday browsing through his feed. It's quite endearing in a way. The other Sentinels just have fan pages and such, nothing special, but as far as I'm aware. Nothing official as far as I'm aware. Maybe they use that stuff in their civilian guises, but I'm not about to start looking for Frank's account on Chirper. Chirper? Really? Chirper? Couldn't you called it Tweeter? Welcome to Tweeter! That could be interesting. Should I ask if he has one? No, that's dumb. My thoughts drift back to the conversation with Mrs. O'Connor. The more I ponder it, the more depressing it becomes. I wonder what the Baron thinks about all this. Would she tell him what she believes happened? Probably. He seems to be very close with Templar's family. Maybe it means he'll ease up on me, since I got the power so his friend's son would have lived a normal life? Except I know he won't, because he thinks Danny should have inherited the bracelet. Templar said he was sorry. I guess I know what he meant now. It must have felt like he was throwing me under the bus. Or, well, I could have still refused, in which case nothing would change. But I could also do what I ended up doing anyway and relieve his son of the burden. In that light, his actions make sense. If I carry on like this, these doubts are going to pursue me forever. Maybe it doesn't matter. It is what it is, as I told Mrs. O'Connor. I've already made up my mind. There's no point moping about it. Speaking of moping, maybe I should try to lift the mood in the car somehow. No idea how, though. Since I don't know either of them well enough, which could be a starting point. Small talk to the rescue. Frank, do you also have, like, a civilian identity? Fox puts away his phone and looks at me with a half smile. Yeah, I need a driver's license, you know. That's not what I... Chuckling, Frank raises his paws. I know, I was joshing. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm jobless. Ah, is that bad? It's not great, I guess. What do you do in your free time, then? Assuming you take any breaks from all the superhero stuff. I've been trying to learn to code. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself for thinking that it's no surprise the Asian Fox would be into that. Hey man, it's a little speciesist. Not that I'm about to voice that particular thought. Fancy yourself a little game dev? Ah, no, I hate those things. Vince laughs. I tried to get him to play a fighting game with me once. Should have seen the disgusted look I got. Michael, on the other hand, was all over it, like a little kid. Imagining the three Sentinels just chilling and playing a video game, is somehow mind-boggling yet heartwarming at the same time. The tiger is back to his cheerful self that I've grown so accustomed to by now. Nessus is smiling too, like he was the first time I saw him. I didn't expect my poor attempt at getting a conversation going to be such a resounding success. Even reminiscing about their fallen teammate doesn't seem to bother them. I'm a little shocked to learn that Templar could be quite a goofball at times. This one time, he told me Danny was starting to beat him at basketball, so he spent a whole day practicing until he was confident he'd stay the undefeated dad. I remember that. He was so pleased with himself. Too bad you both got in trouble with Unbound for shirking your patrol duties. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right there. This has been a new episode of Supernova. Hey, we got to meet the family and have a little run-in with Danny. And we got to learn the truth of why Templar passed his power on in the first place. Kind of disturbing and depressing, but anyway. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next episode. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!